Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about A24's upcoming film, Undertone, which I got to see at Sundance. I think this movie has some genuinely strong ideas and technical strengths, but ultimately it ends up feeling uneven, constrained, and a bit frustrating by the time it's all said and done. I walked out of the theater thinking there's a version of this that could have been really great, but the execution just didn't get there. That said, my girlfriend liked this movie and she found it to be very scary. For this review, I will avoid spoilers, but at the very least, I will give you some context on what the movie is about. If you think it's interesting, keep watching the video, and if you don't think it's interesting, please keep watching the video anyways. Without question, the best thing about Undertone is its sound design. This movie absolutely understands how to use audio as a storytelling tool, and that's where it shines the brightest. The entire premise revolves around this urban legend style email containing audio files only. There's no video, no visuals, just sound. These files are sent to podcast hosts, Evie and Justin, and as they listen through them, each file becomes increasingly disturbing with an overarching plot. The more I think about it, I don't think plot is the right word. Conspiracy, that's a much better word. You are going to hear a lot of layered audio in this movie. Conversations between people, crying, sleep talking, whispers, babies crying, and voices that feel not quite human. The files are crisp, dense, and unsettling. There's both not a lot and a lot going on inside of them, and the movie encourages you to listen carefully. I also really like the idea that this plays into a broader, very modern fear. The theory that the audio we consume every day, podcasts, music, recordings, may contain hidden messages or subliminal meanings. The movie commits to that idea, and I think it's genuinely compelling. The podcast framing works well conceptually. Evie and Justin investigate these files together, trying to find hidden messages. I think this framing is perfect for modern horror, especially considering how relevant and popular true crime and paranormal podcasts are. In fact, I think that's why my girlfriend was interested in watching this movie. The idea of watching a Stephanie Sue-like character investigate something sinister for content captured her attention. I'll admit, having my own podcast, I also like this concept. Where the movie really started losing me was with Evie as a character. As the files get played, strange things are clearly happening in her home. Lights flickering, whispers throughout the house, unexplained noises, and an overwhelming sense that something is wrong. And yet, Evie keeps insisting that it's all fake, that it's a farce, that none of it is real. This disbelief continues way too long until it's too late, and it was one of my biggest pet peeves. At a certain point, it feels less like skepticism and more like the movie artificially delaying character development until the climax forces her to accept reality. So unfortunately, this pulled me out of the experience more than once. Another major issue for me is the setting. This movie takes place entirely inside one house, more specifically, the dining area, the bathroom, and the mother's bedroom. That's it. Evie's mother is an elderly, bedridden woman on the verge of death, and Evie is waiting for that inevitable moment. While this all fits thematically with the film's discomfort and sense of decay, the lack of visual and spatial variety really hurts the pacing. The camera repeats the same movements in the same rooms. We get the same beats over and over, so outside of the audio sequences, I found a lot of this movie to be pretty dull. This is a slow burn, and I don't think the slow burn is fully justified by what's happening on screen. I don't want to be overtly negative, so again, I want to shout out the music and audio. I especially loved how the film plays with children's songs and nursery rhymes, which historically carry darker meanings. I love the idea that Ring Around the Rosies, London Bridge is Falling, Jack and Jill, Baa Baa Black Sheep, Rockabye Baby, and more nursery rhymes hide something sinister when reversed or distorted. Again, this is a real belief that a lot of people have. Maybe not the majority of people, but still a substantial amount of people that I even second guess things. In Undertone, the sound editing makes that paranoia feel believable, and it reinforces the central idea that sound itself is dangerous. Going back to the negatives for a second, this movie essentially has two characters, Evie and Justin. Her mom is bedridden, so I'm not really counting her. We spend this entire movie with Evie. Justin is never seen on screen and exists only as a voice. So, this movie lives and dies by Nina Curie's performance. While she does a solid job, again, the repetition and limited setting make it hard for the film to sustain momentum. The camera is on her about 85% of the time, and eventually the movie starts to wear out its welcome. The one redeeming factor, the one thing that saves this movie for me, is the climax. It's uneven, but it finally pays off the buildup in a way that feels intentional and unsettling. If the ending hadn't landed the way it did, I probably would have fully committed to this movie being bad. It commits many of the sins that A24's 2024 film, The Front Room, committed. For a movie that's less than 90 minutes, this movie feels slow. Maybe it's because I was tired at my midnight showing, but the execution, the repetition, and the character frustration hold this movie back. So, overall, Undertone is a movie that I respected in some aspects, but ultimately didn't enjoy. I think the ideas are strong, the sound design is genuinely excellent, and the audio-driven horror is where the film truly comes alive. But for me, the repetitive setting, the drawn-out disbelief from its main character, and the slow pacing keep it from fully realizing its potential. I don't think it's a bad movie, and I completely understand why it worked better for others, especially if you're more tuned into podcast horror, but it just didn't fully click for me. By the end, I landed somewhere in the middle, intrigued, occasionally unsettled, but also frustrated. Undertone is a film that works best when you're listening, not watching, and whether that's enough will really come down to your personal taste. I'm sure the true crime girlies will like this movie much more than I. Thank you for listening to my review of Undertone. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, leave your email down below because I have 10 files I need to send to you. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.